Everyone, we're going to do a sales journal entry together. So please turn in your textbooks to page 85. By now you will have read chapter 6 and you will have reread the entire section on sales journals. And please do chapter 6, practice exercise 1 on your own, where it says use the following accounts balances to prepare a trial balance with schedules of accounts receivable and accounts payable. So follow the instructions in the chapter and try that one on your own. And moving on to chapter 6, practice exercise 2 at the bottom of page 85, we're going to do this sales journal entry together. So it says the following transactions are to be recorded in the sales journal of Seymour's Limited of Squamish, BC. So first, set up a sales journal, page SJ4. So over in the corner we see page, we're going to go SJ4, with the following column headings: date, name of customer, that would be our account debit, invoice number, terms, folio, accounts receivable debit, so that's the amount that gets debited. And then we're having the credit account, so we're going sales, credit, GST payable. Remember, GST payable is the GST received on sales, credit, and PST payable. Same thing, GST payable, PST received on sales, that has to get forwarded to the provincial government. B, set up these general ledger accounts. Accounts receivable control, GST payable 220, PST payable 222, and sales 401. So pull out some general ledger accounts, or general ledger pages. Here are some general ledger pages, so I'm going to go accounts receivable control, account number 110, GST payable, account number 220, and we'll go sheet number 1, PST payable 222, and sales 401. Also, open a ledger account for each of these customers. So now we're going into subledger. So our accounts receivable control shows our total that all customers owe to the company. And the subledger is all of the individual accounts that added together equal the total in our accounts receivable control. So our customers, we're going to have accounts receivable, Terry Beadlore, account number 120, accounts receivable, Susan Bettel 121, accounts receivable, Betty Grabowski 122, accounts receivable, Lee Han 123, and flip the page, accounts receivable, Ahmed 124, accounts receivable, Marie Nelson 125, accounts receivable, Edna Schultz 126, accounts receivable, Jane Travis 127, just a few subledger accounts, and accounts receivable, Allison, Boston, 128. Step C, all sales invoices are to be numbered consecutively beginning with number 80. Customers are allowed 30 days on all credit sales. All right, 30 days is our terms. So if they're allowed 30 days, I'm just going to make a note, because this is what I do, because otherwise I forget things. So I've talked about sticky notes in my videos before, so we're going to go default terms are net 30. So I'm just going to put that there so that I remember as I'm doing my work. Okay, step D, add 5% GST and 7% PST to all sales. So I also forget rates. I'm not going to remember, and each of these practice exercises gives you different province examples. So instead of leaving it to your memory, just write right on your sales journal 5% and 7%. The amounts quoted in the transactions represent the value of the goods before taxes. So make note of that, because some of these different examples, these different practice exercises are actually going to say these amounts include taxes. So you need to pay attention to that. Step E, record the following sales and post daily into the customer's accounts. So May 1st, you all know I hate having a 2000 dash for a year, so we're going to put the year as 2025, and May 1st. Sold merchandise to Louis Han, sales invoice number 80 for 210.25. So the account that we're debiting is AR Louis, whoops, not Louis like French, Louis Han. You guys get to see my chicken scratch. Invoice number 80, terms net 30, because remember our default terms, net 30. We're not putting in the folio yet because we haven't posted to the general ledger. Accounts receivable debit is going to be the total amount. So we don't stick in this number to 210.25 because we haven't calculated taxes yet. We're going to put the 210.25 into our sales credit. And then you will need your calculator. So 210.25 times 5% is 1051. 210.25 times 7% is 1471. When I add it together, I get 235.47. Great. Now it says post daily to the customer's account. So that means into their general ledger accounts. So I'm going to find Louis Han. There we go. I've got Louis Han, account 123. I'm just going to fold this so that you can see what I'm doing on both pages. So I've got my Louis Han, account 123, the date 2025, May 1st. Remember, we don't want to use more than one account, or more than one line, I mean. So we're going to go sale, discount, date. Well, we don't have a date, so we don't need to worry about that. Our folio for here is going to be our sales journal page. So we've got Ch6, that's where we get this information. Our debit amount, accounts receivable debit, 235.47. And then we know that this carries over to be a debit balance of 235.47. Now note, I am posting to the customer account. Okay, so that's account 123. I'm going to carry this over to the sales journal, 123. But I'm only posting the customer account information, the accounts receivable debit number. I am not posting to the general ledger the sales account information, the GST account information, or the PST account information, because that's going to get posted at the end when we sum them all up for all of the transactions. So that's May 1st done. So if we go on, let's do a couple more together. We've got May 3rd, credit sales to 3 customers. So we have AR, Jane, Travis, Marie, Nelson, Allison, Lawson, AR, and invoices are numeric, so it's just 81, 82, 83. The terms are always going to be net 30 for this practice exercise. And we're not filling in our accounts receivable debit until we have determined the taxes. So our sales amounts, Jane Travis, is $267.95. Marie Nelson, $141.60. Allison Wasson, $242.70. Now we need to calculate our taxes again. $267.95 times 5%, $13.39. $267.95 times 7%, $18.75. 141, I'm just going with the taxes here, 141.60 times 5%. Whoops, I put a 7 in the wrong cell, you see that, so I'm going to put a line through it. 708. 141.60 times 7%, 991. 242.70 times 5%, 1213. 242.70 times 7%, 1698. Now let's add those up. Rulers are bookkeeper's best friend. So, Jane Travis, we have 1875 plus 1339 plus 267.95 is 309. Next, 991 plus 708 plus 141.60 equals 158.59. Next, 1698 plus 1213 plus 242.70 equals 271.81. Now we are going to post these into our general ledger for each of these customers. Remember, only for the customer accounts, not for the sales or taxes accounts. So Allison Watson, I might as well start at the top. Not jump all over the place on you guys. So, hey, so just noticed that my children have been playing with my calculator, and this is something really good for you to double check your figures. So on my calculator, it lets me choose to round down, like always round down, always round up, or do what we know in accounting to be the normal, which is if it's a 4 or less, you round down. If it's 5 or more, you round up. So that's where the setting needs to be for our rounding. Because I didn't have mine on that, some of my figures are incorrect, so I'm just going to fix that. So this 1472 or 1471 should be 1472. The GST payable is correct, and sales credit is correct, but this accounts receivable amount needs to be an 8. And then for this Jane Travis one, it should be 1876. And GST payable should be 1340. Barely see it. See, this is why we have to print small when we're doing this. If I were a student, I'd probably redo my work, but I'm showing you my corrections, and hopefully you'll learn why we need to print small. 267.95 is correct, but this 300 should be 311. So I'm going to cross that out and put 11. Then our next one here, 991 is correct, 708 is correct, 140, 60 is correct, 158.59 is correct. And the next line, 1698 should be 1699, so I'm going to cross out that 8 and put a 9. 1213 should be 1214, cross out the 3 and put a 4. 240.270 is correct, 271.81 should be 83, so I'm going to cross out the 1 and put a 3. Sorry about that. Glad I caught that before we posted it to the ledger, or we'd have more mistakes to correct. So now let's go to our ledger. So starting with Jane Travis, down here at the bottom, 2025, May 3rd, sale. Folio is SJ4, and our debit amount is the 311 cents. 311 debit 311 is posted to account 127, so up here I put in the folio 127. And then Marie Nelson. Nelson I have here, account 125. So 2025, May 3rd, sale, folio SJ4. Our debit is 158.59, and this is a debit 158.59. Up here, it's account 125. And moving on to the next one, Allison Wasson. So here, we've got 2025, May 3rd, sale, folio SJ4, debit 271.83, debit balance 271.83. So now that's posted there. So if we look at our practice exercise page, let's look what else is required. We're going to sell merchandise on account to Betty Grabowski, And then on the 6th, again, we have multiple sales to Jane Travis and Betty Grabowski. The 8th, we've got one customer. The 11th, we have two. 15th, we have 1, 2, 3. 18th, another sale. 22nd, two sales. And on the 26th, one sale. So you're going to do these steps on your own in the sales journal, the same page that we've been using thus far, and you're going to post them into the accounts receivable subledgers for each of those customers on your own. Remember to calculate your taxes and all that like we just did together on this video. Then on going on to the next step, step F, we have prove equal debits and credits. G, enter the totals and rulings. And H, post the total of the accounts receivable column to the accounts receivable control account. Post the other totals appropriately. And I, prepare a trial balance with a schedule of accounts receivable. So this video is not over, but I would like to pause it now. So please, you pause your video, do those steps, and then push play again, and we'll continue together and we'll review what we've done. All right, now you've had a chance to finish entering, so let's just quickly look over it together. Here on our sales journal, we see all the transactions for the different customers. On every day that the transaction was posted, you posted it immediately to that subledger, to the accounts receivable for each customer. Now, why would we do that? Well, if Marie Nelson comes in on May 3rd and she makes that, she buys something from the company, and the company makes a sale to her of invoice 82 for $158.59. Now, what if she comes in on May 6th to pay it? If it's not posted on the same day to the subledger, then when the person goes to check how much they owe on Marie Nelson's account, they're going to see that she owes nothing because it's not up to date. So every day, the accounts receivable subledgers need to be updated. Then, at the end of the month, when all the transactions for the month are done, then they are closed off with a line. The columns are added. So we see the total accounts receivable here of $36.98.73. Then the sales are added. Then the GST is added. Then the PST is added. And here you can see the account numbers where these numbers are posted to the ledger. So if we see the ledger for this account, for this company, we can see that our accounts receivable control has one entry for May 31st, and that carries over. So instead of having all the different subledger, it only has that total for the whole month. And then our GST has our total sales for that page, the sales journal page 4. PST, same thing, one entry. And the sales has one entry. So instead of having sales and every single invoice listed, it's simply the monthly sales for that company. And if we look at the different ledgers that have been done for all the different companies, individuals, there's a couple things I want to point out. So you do want to keep your memos as short as possible, but there are two things that are very important to have in the memo. One is the sales invoice number. So here we have sales invoice number 88 and sales invoice number 95. And second is the terms. So all of these are due within 30 days. So we have net 30, net 30. You can see here, I didn't put it, so I'm going to fix that. Net 30, net 30. So we want to have the terms on each one. And then we see our running balance on the end. So as per this exercise, nothing's been paid. These are all sales made, but the customer has not paid them. So that's consistent through this exercise. We see the folio of Sales Journal 4 for each one. And that goes through to all of them. So back to our Sales Journal page. After the month is closed off, we have a few different things at play. So we actually have 4 accounts that we're touching. So what I want to point out is that our accounts receivable is our debit, sales are our credit, GST is a credit, PST is a credit. So at the end of the month, we want to take these amounts, these totals at the bottom, and we're going to check that it balances by doing a proof. So we write the word proof, we put DR for debit and CR for credit, and then we put that total. So this $36.98.73, that is simply this accounts receivable control total. On the credit side, we put the 3 amounts that are here on the credit side, $33.02.40, $165.15, and $231.18. And then we add them up, and we get $36.98.73, which equals our debits of $36.98.73. So we know we have a balanced journal. Now looking at the exercise, you can see that step I is prepare a trial balance with a schedule of accounts receivable. So in your worksheets, you have trial balance pages. They look like this. And your trial balance should read just like this one. So we've got our company name, trial balance, the date, and then we have our accounts with the amounts that match the general ledger. Remember, these numbers are coming from our general ledger. So this $36.98.73, I didn't get that from the sales journal. Even though it is that number, that's not where I got it from. I got it from my ledger. So if I find my accounts receivable control ledger, there we go, my balance is $36.98.73. So I always want to make sure that I'm getting my trial balance figures from my ledger. So that's the same for our GST, PST, sales, and they equal, they balance each other. It looks a lot like our proof, doesn't it? And then our schedule of accounts receivable down here, those are all the balances coming from those individual subledger accounts. And this is our double check that our accounts receivable balances in the general ledger are in fact equal to our accounts receivable control. So we can see here that they added up to $3,698.73, and our accounts receivable control is $36.98.73. So that is the practice exercise in full. Now there's one more step that I've mentioned and in this course, and I just wanted to actually do it and show you. Now your worksheet should look like this for the bookkeeping purposes, but for the academic identification tracking, I would like to make sure that you put your name on every page and what it is. So when we're doing practice exercise 2 of chapter 6, I want to see chapter 6, practice exercise 2. And that should be on every page. And there you go. You do that on every page, do it on the ledgers, then scan it and submit it to Moodle for your practice exercises in chapter 6. Thank you, everyone.